Do I care about the Tesla? No. Do I care who put the Tesla there or moved it? Yes, because I believe that person had knowledge that Celeste's body, a little girl, was decomposing in the trunk. Because I believe her body, Celeste's body, the little girl's body, was already in the vehicle when it was parked. He's got video of the Tesla coming around the curve from the direction of Burke's house, his mansion. Hence, the body was already in the car, and it's coming around from Burke's house.
And so maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that he didn't do it, and if he didn't, he should tell us everything.
You know, Rob Shooter, you can really hurt your crotch when you're riding the fence that way. Okay, just be careful of that. Breaking news tonight, a private investigator drops a bombshell in a new probe in teen girl Celeste. Her body, her decomposing body, found in the singer D4VD, aka David Anthony Burke's Tesla. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. Celeste is found dead in the trunk of his Tesla. Her body was in advanced state of decomposure. Who would have a motive to kill her?
It's obviously a homicide.
A private investigator says that after amassing Ring doorbell cam and other cam from all around the neighborhood, he knows who and when D4VD, aka David Anthony Burke's Tesla, was moved. Do I care about the Tesla? No. Do I care who put the Tesla there or moved it? Yes, because I believe that person had knowledge that Celeste's body, a little girl, was decomposing in the trunk. If he knows that, certainly the LAPD knows that. Listen.
Mladen Trivunovic, the owner of the home Burke was renting for $20,000 a month, has hired a private investigator, Steve Fisher, to try and find out what was happening in the home he owns. Fisher was hired shortly after a forced search warrant was served at the home. Nobody was home when police served a search warrant.
The LAPD says Celeste had been deceased for weeks before being discovered in Burke's Tesla. Private investigator Steve Fisher says he has seen surveillance video from neighbor homes and knows exactly when the Tesla was last moved and who moved it to the location from where it was towed in very late July.
And the only way to amass that information, to gather it, is from the cams in the neighborhood. Listen.
Surveillance cameras in the Hollywood Hills built a complete timeline showing when Burke's Tesla was parked on Bluebird Avenue, who parked it, and whether anything was placed in the vehicle after it was parked. There's also no evidence indicating Celeste's body was transferred into the Tesla after it was parked on the street.
And we are learning so much more. For instance, apparently the Tesla on the street was the one that David Anthony Burke, aka Burke, D4VD, used mostly. But then another Tesla was in his garage, and the Tesla on the street looked like it had been out in the elements. Joining me in All-Star Panel, but first, joining us tonight, the private investigator that says he knows who moved the car and when. Joining me right now, private investigator Steve Fisher. He's been on the case from the very, very beginning. Missing persons private investigator, search and rescue specialist, and owner of Search Investigations. He is the one hired by the Hollywood Hills property renter, the leaser, where D4VD David Burke was living. Steve Fisher, first of all, how did you get hired on the case? How did that go down?
So I was originally looking into the case because I had another missing persons case, and we thought that that might be the female. And then once she was identified, we knew it wasn't. But I had accumulated some information, and I had put out there publicly, and the owner got in touch with me, about that. And that's how it evolved.
Okay, the owner of the house or the manager, who got in touch with you? The guy that owns the house?
The actual owner of the house, him and his wife.
Okay. You claim, Steve Fisher, that you know when the car, David Anthony Burke's car, was parked there. That's important to me because I believe her body, Celeste's body, the little girl's body, was already in the vehicle when it was parked.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it was too. I'll tell you, it was July 29th, and it was mid-morning, or I should say. And I do know, who it was that moved it right now. We're not saying who that is, but I'll tell you, it's not far. The area they moved it.
Okay, put him up.
Wasn't far.
Put him up. Steve Fisher, have you heard the phrase word salad? It's like
Yes.
all the words jumbled up together. You might bite an onion or a tomato. I don't know what you just said. Okay, I know who hired you. I've gotten that far with you. Listen, I'm a JD, not a DDS. But you give me a set of pliers, and I think I could pull your tooth. You've told me who hired you. You told me why you were hired. You were on another missing persons case. You amassed information from that neighborhood. You put it out there. Somebody saw that and hired you on this case. All right.
Yeah.
You're not hired by D4VD, a.k.a. David. You're not hired by the guy that leased the house. I got that far with you. Let's back it up to right there. Repeat, you claim that you have amassed camera, video camera evidence from the neighborhood. And that having looked at that, you've pieced together a timeline. And you know when Burke's Tesla with a dead body in it, I think, was first parked in the neighborhood. When was it first parked in the neighborhood?
It moved to that last spot on July 29th at about 11 something in the morning. And I'll tell you, it was in the same shape that we saw it in those tow photos where it was completely dirty and trashed. I could tell that they had run the windshield wiper once just so they could see out of it. And they had rolled the window down to move it, even though they're moving about a block and a half. But it was in that condition still, so it had not been used in a long time. They had clearly been just moving it around different areas of the neighborhood.
To Randy Kessler, veteran trial lawyer, joining us at the Atlanta jurisdiction, Emory Law professor, former chair of the ABA, American Bar Association Family Law Section, and author of Divorce, Protect Yourself, Your Kids, Your Future. Randy, have you ever had to have a witness, and it could be your witness, declared a hostile witness on the stand? I hate doing that. I don't mind doing it to the other side's witness. I do that all the time. But with my own witness, if I can't get an answer out of them, you ask the judge, I'd like the witness to be declared a hostile witness. What does that mean? I can then cross-examine my own witness. Have you ever done that with your own witness?
Yeah, you mean like you were just doing a Steve Fisher? Absolutely. It's sort of fun,
yes,
right? Because,
exactly.
When you're direct examining, you're limited. You can only ask open-ended questions. Why did this happen? What happened? But on cross, if you can treat your own witness, the one that you know what they're going to say, as hostile, it's wonderful because then you can say, isn't it true? And then we get to testify in essence, right? You get to testify and say, didn't this happen? Didn't it go like this? Isn't this what happened? Because you know the facts you want to get into evidence.
That was a yes-no answer, Kessler. I appreciate all that. But have you ever had your own witness declared as a hostile witness?
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, you do that when the witness is refusing to answer your questions. You think you knew what they were going to do when they get on the stand, and then surprise, they don't. Okay, that in mind, back to private investigator Steve Fisher. I did manage to get some information out of you that I didn't know. That being, July 29, 11 a.m., Burke's Tesla was moved to its last location. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know where it was parked before that?
That I don't know, because from the house that it was taken from is a little bit down the hill, but on the same street that the rental house is on.
Okay. So you're telling me the Tesla that held Celeste's decomposing body was ultimately left on the same street where he was living?
It looked like it was coming from the rental house. I can't say for sure, but there's only a few houses on that street because that's like an off street. And came down that road and was turning onto where you go up the Bluebird there, where it was left.
Okay. Are you telling me, I'm having to interpret everything you're saying, Steve. You're talking private investigator talk. Are you telling me on a video you can see the Tesla coming from the direction of his house?
Yeah, so the road is curved, and so the house that captured that is kind of at the base of the curve. So you can't see, you can see it coming down the road. You can't see exactly where it started, and you can't see the driveway of the rental house. It stops right before that. The camera angle does.
Wow. Okay. Joining me right now, don't move, Steve Fisher. Do not move an inch. PR guru to celebrities like D4VD, David Anthony Burke. Rob Shooter joining us, host of Naughty But Nice podcast, author of an upcoming novel. It Started With a Whisper. Excellent title. And you can find it at robshooter.substack.com. Okay, Shooter. I'm going to go into this in depth later, but other celebrities have actually gone on social media and said, wow, I want Burke D4VD's downloads. In this case, a dead body in your trunk can really hurt your reputation. So what do you make of how D4VD, David Anthony Burke, is going to get out of the fact that Fisher just dropped like a bomb? He's got video of the Tesla coming around the curve from the direction of Burke's house, his mansion. And it's got the body in it. He's watched the video. He never sees the body or anything else being put in or taken out of the car. Hence, the body was already in the car and it's coming around from Burke's house. What are you going to do with that, PR guru?
Yeah, Nancy, the
Fluff it
only
up
thing you can
and put it
do.
on the front of Vogue?
The only thing you can do in these situations, if you are innocent, is tell the truth. Lawyers hate that. Lawyers hate it when publicists get involved. But here, they're not just fighting for their legal future, but also their professional, their reputation. And so we would encourage them, if they were innocent, to tell their side of the story, to get that out now. So it's very, very tricky here. You have to sit with your client. You have to have a really serious conversation. And they have to basically tell you, are they innocent? Are they guilty? And if they are innocent, then he's got an amazing story to tell. Everything here looks really bad for him. However, if this is all some terrible, crazy misunderstanding, this is an amazing story. And so if he can tell that, then he'll be okay. But once again, he has to be innocent.
I had to hear your whole spiel before I jumped in. Some, quote, terrible misunderstanding. Control room, can you show me a photo of this little girl, Celeste? Okay, she's dead and dismembered and decomposing in his trunk, and you just call that a terrible misunderstanding?
What I called a terrible misunderstanding is him being blamed for this. That's what is the terrible misunderstanding here, if indeed he is innocent. This young girl who is dead, who is decomposing in the back of a fancy Tesla, that is not a terrible misunderstanding. That is an absolute disgrace, and we've got to get to the bottom of it. But we haven't got there yet, Nancy. And so maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that he didn't do it, and if he didn't, he should tell us everything right now.
You know, Rob Shooter, you can really hurt your crotch when you're riding the fence that way. Okay, just be careful of that. Katie Forrester joining me right now, Assistive Exclusives Editor, U.S. Sun. Let's follow up on Shooter's terrible misunderstanding comment. A rapid fire, Katie. A, thank you for being with us tonight. And B, did D4VD, David Anthony Burke, ever report his Tesla missing?
That is the main thing that I found very interesting. And also not just the Tesla, but, you know, if he was in a relationship with Celeste and he hadn't heard from her in months, weeks, you know, obviously she was a teen runaway, but he never reported that either. I think it is very interesting, you know, if you were this close to this girl, whether she was a friend, whether she was a partner, you think that he would be shouting from the rooftops, you know, where is she? And also, yes, the car as well.
You did hear me say lightning round, right? Lightning, right? Okay. Yes, no. Did he ever report his Tesla missing?
Absolutely not.
Okay, did he ever report Celeste missing?
Absolutely not.
So, back to you, shooter. Suddenly she's gone and he doesn't report her missing or his Tesla missing. How do you, again, fluff that up and make it all glossy for the front of
She has
what? In Touch, the Inquirer, what? How do you fix
she has
that?
she has a history of running away. This is somebody who left many relationships, many lives, and so this is a troubled person. And that is not blaming the victim here, Nancy, at all. But this is somebody who has a history of making erratic decisions. That's how it is going to be presented. It's going to be presented like he was her mentor, that he was looking out for her, and one day he got up and she disappeared, and as upset as he was about that, he didn't think this was that unusual. It's a very tricky argument. I'm not saying it's going to work, but that's what they're going to do. That's how they're going to position it.
And that is why all the stars hire Rob Shooter as their PR guru. Okay, back to Steve Fisher. Fisher, I didn't forget about you. Steve Fisher is a very high-profile private investigator who is investigating another missing persons case and somehow landed in the middle of the Celeste investigation. So far I've gotten out of you tonight that the Tesla, ultimately with Celeste's body in it, was moved to the last location, July 29, 11 a.m. in a trash condition, like it had been out in the elements, driving through the desert or mud bugging, right?
Yeah, it is in horrible condition. Same condition that you see it in the photos.
You also told me that you saw video of the car coming around the curve from the direction of Burke's mansion and parking. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What day did you see that?
It was on July 29th.
Steve Fisher, did you see any camera video of any nature that showed the Tesla parked in that area prior to July 29?
I have seen the images that I obtained from the Department of Transportation on the day it was ticketed and towed, which was September 5th. And then I have seen a video that shows it in May of 2025, very clean, but actually parked on that Bluebird Street. That one where it was ultimately towed from, but it was clean at that time.
Could you give me those dates again, please? The dates that you observed the car parked on that street. Go ahead.
First time I've seen it parked was May of 2025. There's a video of it parked on Bluebird, which is the same street that it was ultimately towed from. And then the other imagery I have is from the Department of Transportation, which are those images you're showing now that I obtained when they towed it, just to document, the towing. And then there, I do have one from earlier in January where the car is parked in front of the rental house. It shows that it's very clean, but does have that rear damage already, the large dent in the back of the car.
Okay, got it. So you're saying May 2025 is the earliest you can place the car on the street in that neighborhood. But to you, Katie Forrester, when did Celeste drop off the map? When was the last time she was actually seen by someone?
So it's actually quite hard to tell, but she went missing a year prior. And then as far as I know, because I spoke to family, she did come back 2 or 3 times. But we think that she was missing from her family home for at least 6 months before she was found dead. So yeah, quite a long time.
Dave Mack, we have shown over and over the photo of Celeste, this little teen girl, age 13, at a concert in the friend and family area. If we could pull up that video, please. As I recall, that was August the 4th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Dead on. That was in August in Maryland.
This from @Clips of David on TikTok. Hi guys, the Fed has finally dropped interest rates, and that is great news for all American homeowners. Wages are flat, prices keep climbing, and for many people, the only way to get by is to use credit cards and build up all that debt. If you are a homeowner, consider calling American Financing. Interest rates have dropped. Many homeowners are seeing options in the low fives. Now, compare that to credit card interest rates charging rates in the 20s or higher. That's a lot of money. They're salary-based mortgage consultants, and I say that because they don't get a cut of their sales. Salary-based mortgage consultants save customers an average of $800 a month. If you get started today, you may even be able to delay your next mortgage payment. Take control. I know sometimes it feels like you're drowning in debt. Call American Financing, 866-888-0344. Repeat, 866-888-0344. Or go online to americanfinancing.net/Nancy. And good luck. How could somebody put a then 13-year-old little girl in a trunk and leave the car there for weeks on end? Celeste's body was found in a black tube top and ripped jeans. You could smell the trunk as you approached the Tesla. Her body found in a black tube top and ripped jeans, the same outfit she has on August the 4th at the D4VD David Burke concert. So I'm trying to narrow down the timeline, Fisher. That's what I'm doing here. Now, I'd like to understand, you saw a person emerge from the Tesla. I assume that was July 29 at 11 a.m. You saw a person get out of the Tesla.
No, I didn't see them get out of the Tesla. They drove by when they drove by the camera in the Tesla, I could tell who it was, but then they're too far out of range, when they hit the parking spot. So I can identify the person from when they drove within 4 or 5 feet of the camera.
Wow, that's even much better. So you're telling me it's not the person getting in or out of the Tesla. They drive by a cam, and that's July 29, correct?
Correct.
And you get a face shot. Is that correct?
A face shot, and because the Tesla is so, it has so many windows, the upper body, and they're wearing something very distinctive.
So let me ask you this, Steve Fisher. Are you familiar with all of the people that work with and for Burke? You know what they look like?
I do now. I didn't, at that time, but the main players I've certainly become very familiar with. There's a lot of photos of them. We came into a lot of media of them that was left at the house.
Steve Fisher, why won't you divulge who was driving the Tesla, ostensibly with Celeste's body in the trunk?
Well, I'll tell you, I would like to, I'll be honest with you, but by statute, I cannot unless I have my client's permission. That's just something, a regulation that I'm bound by. And right now, they want to give LAPD a little bit more time. If it was up to me, I would put it out there because it's been 7 weeks, and I don't understand why at least the concealment charge can't be dropped by this time, and you can always stack charges on top of that. So I don't agree with it. I would put it out if it was up to me.
You mentioned you got a clear picture of the driver's face. Was the window rolled down?
It was rolled down, and they were only going a block and a half. It was 77 degrees, and the car, if it was parked in front of the rental house, it was in the shade. So I don't understand why they'd have the window down like that.
And obviously, to Dr. Kendall Crowns joining us, Chief Medical Examiner, Tarrant County, the host of a new podcast, Mayhem in the Morgue. He is an esteemed lecturer at the Burnett School of Medicine at TCU. Dr. Kendall Crowns, by that point, with a decomposing body in the car, in the trunk, the front, the Tesla has a trunk in the front. I think I know why they roll down the window, Dr. Crowns.
Yeah, so there's going to be marked decomposition. The body's in the trunk or the frunk or whatever you call the thing from sometime in July to all the way in December. So there's going to be green discoloration, bloating of the body, purging of fluids or fluids coming out of the mouth and other orifices. It's going to be attracting insects. I'm sure the frunk isn't completely sealed, and that's going to create even more decomposition. So there's going to be a lot of odors emitting from that vehicle.
I find it very difficult to believe, Randy Kessler, veteran defense attorney, that whoever was driving that Tesla that Fisher won't divulge could not smell the overwhelming odor of decomposition. And yet they just left the car there.
I agree. But they could also say, it's California, it's beautiful, I want to put the windows down. There are alternate explanations, which defense lawyers will, of course, use.
Here you're seeing a demonstration by Scott Eicher, he did for us, with his daughter, who is about the same height and weight of Celeste. Yet, the person who dropped the car off, Steve Fisher, clearly able to smell the decomposition of little Celeste in the trunk, just left the car there. But yet you won't divulge who it was.
I think we're getting very close. I'm hoping they want to give, my client wants to give LAPD a little bit more time, and I have to go by that. If it was up to, I'm very much a person where I put information out there and to try and get people to get nervous and make statements and stuff. So if it was up to me, it would be out there. It's just not my decision 100%, but I
Well, Steve, let me ask you another question. I understand you're not telling me. Fine. Steve,
yeah.
Have Celeste's family called you, or has D4VD, David Burke, called you and said, who parked the car with her body in it? Who? Have they called and asked?
No, nobody has. And I'm kind of surprised by that. I would love to talk to Celeste's family about this. And even the person that, listen, I've gotten 0 calls from anybody on David's side or Celeste's side.
Randy Kessler joining us, defense attorney out of Atlanta. Randy Kessler, wouldn't he call Steve Fisher and go, you got that video? Who was driving my car with Celeste's body in it? Tell me, don't you think he would want to know?
I think it's the exact opposite of what Rob Shooter told you, which is, tell your innocence, try to figure it out if you're innocent. Lawyers are telling him, don't do anything. Make them prove their case. Whatever the situation is, even if you care about this girl and you love her and you want to make sure.
What case? What make the LAPD prove what case?
The potential case that they're going to prove, or they're going to indict, or they're going to charge, or they're going to arrest David, or they're going to try to make it seem that anything this entertainer says or anything anyone on his behalf says is going to be used against him. Right now, he's in a world of trouble, reputation-wise, maybe freedom-wise. I think he's doing what he's supposed to do, which is just not say.
Kessler, I find that very misleading.
What's misleading?
I find it misleading.
Oh, how many times have you heard a lawyer say, I don't care how innocent you are, you don't say a word, because saying something might make it worse than it is right now. Right now, they don't have enough to prosecute him.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm talking about this. He didn't have to do it. He could have his lawyer do it. That's not going to come into evidence. You cannot put Fisher up on the stand and say, what did the lawyer say to you? That's hearsay, and there's no exception.
I don't want any more interaction.
So why not have his lawyer call and say, hey, who was driving his car?
Because it creates a conversation. It creates innuendo. It creates implications. It creates connection.
I love your Hail Mary. Did you play football? Because he absolutely can have his lawyer call and say, who was driving my car?
Why?
That would not come into evidence unless David said it himself.
Why? Why even start the conversation? Why not wait until they're going to come out and they're going to say,
I can tell you this much. If my husband was decomposing in somebody's trunk, I would be jumping on their chest until I found out who drove the car there.
Right.
I
unless
care.
you were under
know.
suspicion. But if you were under suspicion and possibly going to be charged with a crime, I would tell you not to do it.
Because I guarantee you, I'm not going to kill him.
Well, nobody's going to tell Nancy Grace not to talk.
What? You're talking crazy talk right now. I got to have a shrink. Dr. Delatorre with me, Dr. John Delatorre, psychologist, mediator, specializing in forensic psychology. Dr. Delatorre, did you just hear everything that Rob Shooter and Randy Kessler said? All the big misunderstanding, the little problem of the dead girl decomposing and dismembered, I'd like to add, in a bag, a trash bag, in a trunk. Shooter called that a little misunderstanding that Burke should explain away since he's obviously innocent. And you heard Kessler say, Why should he call and inquire about who may have done this?
Yeah, I think those are the perspectives of professionals who are trained to act in a certain arena based on the court of public opinion or the court of law. But no one is talking about Celeste. She was 13 years old. I don't like this idea that she's declared a teen runaway. There's clearly something going on with her. She's 13 years old when all of this stuff is happening. She could have been convinced that all of this was her decisions, but no one is talking about what was going on in that house. Why was she there? Why weren't any of David's friends saying, hey, this girl's way too young. We need to put her back with her parents. And now she was left to rot, literally to rot. That's what she was left to do, because that's how little all of these people thought about her.
The Tesla owned by Burke had been his daily driver for a long time, regularly getting the car cleaned inside and out. However, when the Tesla was towed, it was dirty with body damage. P.I. Fisher says it looked like the car had been off-road in the desert without wheel wells, beat up, and a huge dent in the back. While his former daily drive sits dirty by the curb for weeks, Burke keeps a clean red Tesla in the garage.
Reminder, D4VD, aka David Anthony Burke, is innocent. He hasn't been charged with anything. American homeowners, the FBI has been warning about a type of real estate fraud called title theft. Your equity, the target. With just a forged signature, your ownership can be transferred out of your name. And without protection in place, you're left with an emotional and financial nightmare. That is why we partner with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim and protect yourself. Use promo code Nancy at HomeTitleLock.com to get a free title history report. Free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and if you are a victim of fraud, they will spend up to $1 million to fix it. Please don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. You've been working your whole life and putting money into your home. Don't lose the equity. That's HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code Nancy, or just use the link below, and good luck. There is a dead body in there 150 feet away from his house. This is a car containing his girlfriend's allegedly dead, dismembered body.
Bloody remains are found in a vehicle registered to you. Yet you continue on this world tour like nothing was found in your car.
And speaking of the world tour that David Anthony Burke, aka D4VD David, embarked upon, to Steve Fisher, the private investigator who has amassed home security surveillance, ring camera, you name it, and has identified the last time the Tesla was moved with Celeste's body in it, we believe, was July 29 around 11 a.m. He also clearly saw the face of the driver, which he is not divulging. Let me ask you about the timeline, Steve Fisher. How long was the Tesla parked on the street for the last time before Burke left for his tour?
From the time it was moved to that last spot, which is on Bluebird, so on July 29th when I saw it, that was like 11 in the morning. Later that evening, they begin the tour, and they actually leave that evening for San Francisco for the first show.
So apparently, Steve Fisher, in that neighborhood, when you leave, it's a pretty nice neighborhood. The mansions are worth millions of dollars. When you leave a filthy, disgusting car, or any car, parked on the street in front of one of those houses, that homeowner gets very irritated to have a nasty car or a junk car sitting in front of their lot, right? Their multi-million-dollar mansion. So you can't leave a car abandoned for very long or it's going to get towed. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I talked to the person who actually called it in, and that's exactly why. It's not so much how long it was left there, it's the condition it was left in, and they felt it was abandoned because of the body damage and it was accumulating dirt. If the car had been clean, it probably would not have been called in, but they felt that it was abandoned, and that's when they called Department of Transportation.
So what do you make of that, Randy Kessler, that the very night that Burke is leaving on a world tour, they just have to move that car one last time to just put off for maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days before it gets reported in front of somebody's yard and gets towed. Just one last time before he leaves on tour.
I think that is a little bit of circumstantial evidence, and you are not going to get a conviction based on that. But it helps the prosecution a little tiny bit.
Okay, so you may agree that it is circumstantial evidence that the state could use. That's what I took from the takeaway from what you just said.
Circumstantial evidence, yes.
Okay, everything is not circumstantial evidence, but I got what I wanted. I want to move forward with that thought. The fact of the coincidence that he leaves for tour that night and the car is moved one last time, pushing forward the eventual towing. Straight back out to special guest joining us, Katie Forrester, with exclusives, editor at the U.S. Sun. Jump in, Katie.
Well, I think it's interesting that you can't drag a body down the street. So, I mean, we are waiting for the cause of death, and that's going to be the main thing, I think, that is going to switch this investigation. Was she strangled? Was it accidental? You know, I think things are going to really shift when that comes out.
Steve Fisher, I find it very difficult to believe that in a home with this, a home that costs this much and has outdoor cameras, that there were not interior cameras like nanny cams. Did you see any?
The house has a really sophisticated security system, including cameras inside, but the owner left it up to the person who leased the house of what they enable or not. And I know that LAPD has taken the cameras and the DVR system, but on the smoke detectors in the house, they were covered. So I don't know if they had also covered the cameras, and LAPD is not informing us what may or may not be on the cameras or if they were even enabled.
You know, another issue that has just happened, straight back out to Rob Shooter, PR guru. Upcoming novel, It Started With a Whisper on Amazon, host of Naughty But Nice podcast, and you can find him at robshooter.substack.com. Shooter, in the last days, D4VD, David, a.k.a. David Anthony Burke, has had all of the bloody shirt merchandise pulled. You can't get it anymore. You remember when Kanye, I'm afraid to say his name, it may conjure him up, had shirts with swastikas on them? Remember that? PR nightmare.
I do remember it. Mm-hmm.
And now this. What took them so, who is helping this guy, for Pete's sake? What took them so long to pull the bloody shirts? Now there's a rumor online, not true, that he had mixed Celeste's blood in the paint to make those shirts. That's ghoulish, not true. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's awful. This should have been removed immediately. But we have to remember here, he is not a superstar. This is somebody who's pretty early on in their career. They probably don't have the very best people around them yet. I've worked with a lot of celebrities, and when they start out in their careers, they don't have the people, the top-notch people on their teams yet, primarily because they can't afford them, they don't have access to them. So his career was still in the beginning phases here, so whoever's advising him probably isn't that experienced, but this should have been removed immediately. It wasn't. Eventually they fixed that. I think ultimately they did the right thing, but it took them way too long.
Reminder, D4VD, a.k.a. David Anthony Burke, is innocent. He hasn't been charged with anything. This little girl, just 13 years old when she goes missing, she had been living with this grown man. She's been gone over a year with him, and now she's dead. With us, an all-star panel, and now we are learning that there were farm implements found in Burke's mansion that were left there, were not seized by police, things that you would normally expect to find in someone's home. What are they? We don't know yet. Joining me, as I said, an all-star panel, Dr. Kendall Crowns. We also understand, is this right, Katie Forrester, that the drains were searched in the home? That's the bathtub drains, the sink drains, for blood evidence?
Yes, and there were photographs of them leaving the house with a computer, with other bits of evidence, but I think it was only on one day. It seemed very swift, so I don't know whether they managed to get a lot.
You know, Dr. Kendall Crowns, I would have thought that that type of investigation would take a lot longer when you are breaking down the sinks and the drains in bathtubs, bathroom sinks, kitchen sinks, utility sinks, laundry room sinks, that would take a while. We know, we were told anyway, that the drains were searched. How does that happen, Dr. Crowns?
So they can disassemble the bathroom sinks, as you were saying, or the kitchen sinks, pulling out the piping. And then they can pull out the drain plugs in the bathtubs or showers and look down in them with flashlights and things of that nature. And usually good investigators can be very efficient and quick at doing these things, so it probably didn't take them a lot of time.
Okay, I don't know about you, Dr. Crowns, but I would like to go to a scene and just sit there and drink it in before I started searching. It would take me a very long time to process a scene, even in my own mind, much less for evidence. But if you say so. Rob Shooter joining us, PR guru to the stars, author of It Started With a Whisper on Amazon. Shooter, that's the last thing you need. Or to have CSI taking the drains out of your bathtub. That's not a good look. But that said, between the drains being searched, this video being amassed, you still don't think David Burke should say anything? Not even, I'm so sorry that Celeste has gone on to heaven, I miss her. Nothing?
Absolutely, yes. Every publicist that works with a star that gets in trouble wants them to sit down and tell their side of the story. However, lawyers really get involved here and say, absolutely not. There's always a fight within the celebrity circle between the lawyers and the publicists. I think absolutely there should be a statement. There should be an interview. If you're innocent, you're going to want to tell your side of the story. However, you also too want to make sure anything you say doesn't get used against you. And so lawyers are going to be telling him not to do anything. At the moment, they're going to let the evidence speak, and that's certainly painting a really, really bad story. And so we also have to remember too, Nancy, friends of mine who own Teslas, they're some of the most sophisticated cars in the world. They have computers within those cars which tell you precisely where that car has been over the last several months. So it's not just inside the house, it's what's happening in the computer of that car that's going to really tie this case together.
If that USB is still, if the stick is still in the car, it can be taken out, which is a big question to me. The Tesla, the sophistication of their security in the Tesla is amazing, but that USB stick can be taken out that records all of that. So many unanswered questions, but I also understand, and is this a good look or a bad look? Let me go to Dr. John De La Torre. The funeral for little Celeste went down, and for all intents and purposes, we have not heard a word that Burke showed up at the funeral. I find that very odd since he had been living with the little girl.
I find it odd too. I think there are many people who would say, well, you can't show up for various reasons. But I think ultimately, if you really had, right, if David really had her best interest, Celeste's best interest in his heart, I think he would have shown up. I think he would have taken the opportunity to be in front of the family to say, I was really trying to mentor her. I understood that she had all these problems. I really had her best interest. So I think that there's a lot of other things that are compelling him not to do it, as opposed to just the altruistic aspect, which I don't think actually existed anyway.
What else are we learning tonight? Katie Forrester, we are learning that D4VD Burke has hired a high-profile defense attorney. His name is Blair Burke. He represented Harvey Weinstein, Lindsay Lohan, Kanye West, Mel Gibson, Britney Spears. So that's in the works. A rumor flooded the internet that he had been arrested. There was even a fake mugshot. That's not true. That did not happen. As of right now, David Anthony Burke is presumed innocent. He hasn't been charged with anything. This investigation could go any number of ways. We don't know how Celeste died. We know that she was dismembered. But how did she die? That is the key to this case. And to you, Dr. Kendall Crowns, will we ever know how she died?
Well, it depends. If the toxicology comes back and is negative for drugs, they may have findings that they found at autopsy that they're not wanting to disclose yet because there's still an ongoing investigation. It probably wasn't something obvious like a gunshot wound to the head or a stab wound to the chest. Maybe something more subtle like a strangulation that they couldn't fully interpret just from the decompositional findings, but they're waiting on seeing what the toxicology show. But I'm sure they have something that they probably have in mind, but they're just waiting until they have all the results back before they pull the trigger.
Randy Kessler, high-profile defense attorney out of Atlanta jurisdiction, you have worked with Blair Burke before. What's her deal? She's cheap, wonderful. I know that much.
She is the go-to person. She is discreet, she's private, and she is who you want to get, and you just hope she has time for you when you call her. She will handle this case, and I think that's why you're not hearing anything from he's not a suspect, he's not a person of interest, but from the person that we are sort of talking about that maybe will be accused. So far, so good. Why say anything and snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? Right now, there's been no charges, no arrest. She's going to keep it that way.
Reminder, D4VD, a.k.a. David Anthony Burke, is innocent. He hasn't been charged with anything. The investigation into the death of little girl Celeste is ongoing. If you know or think you know anything about what happened to Celeste, please dial 213-486-6890. Repeat, 213-486-6890. We remember American hero Sergeant Leonard Davis, New York City PD, killed in the line of duty after 21 years, leaving behind a distraught and devastated brother, Anthony. American hero, Sergeant Leonard Davis. Thank you to our guests, but especially to you for being with us. Nancy Gray signing off for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow night. And until then, good night, friend. Hi, guys. Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. And if you're on the go, please join us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all our content, where we, in our way, seek justice.